I'm John, and I work as an accountant at a small firm in the city. It's a job I don't particularly love, but it pays the bills. My colleagues are decent, and the work isn't demanding, so I can't complain too much. I've been with the firm for 5 years, ever since I graduated from college. The work itself is as dull as it sounds. A lot of number crunching, filling out reports, and sorting through statements. Day after day, the tasks are the same. It's routine, predictable, and a bit boring. But for the most part, I've always been okay with that. I'm not the kind of guy who needs excitement at work. As long as I get my paycheck and have some downtime, I'm fine with it. My hours are regular, too. The firm doesn't demand long nights or weekends, which is a relief. So, when I woke up that Monday, I expected it to be just like any other. I got dressed, grabbed my coffee, and headed to the office. My usual routine. At the office, things moved as expected. I settled into my desk, turned on my computer, and started wading through emails. By lunchtime, I felt the need to get away from my desk. There's a small deli just down the street I like to visit when I need to clear my head for a bit. It's fast and easy, and I go there often. As I stood in line, reading the menu, my eyes wandered to the display of scratch-off lottery tickets behind the counter. I don't normally play the lottery, never really saw the point. The odds are bad, and I don't like wasting money on chances that are all but impossible to win. But for some reason, this time felt different. I had this sudden impulse to try it out. Maybe it was the dull routine of the day, or maybe I was just looking for something unexpected to break the monotony. I ordered my usual turkey club sandwich and added a $5 scratch-off ticket, just for the hell of it. I didn't think much of it when I paid. After grabbing my lunch, I returned to the office and ate while I did some browsing online. When I finished, I tossed the sandwich wrapper into the trash and pulled out the ticket from my pocket. I began scratching it, not really thinking about what I was doing. But as I peeled off the silver coating, something strange started to happen. Slowly, the symbols and numbers were revealed, one by one. I kept going, not sure what I expected to find. Then, when I scratched off the final bit of foil, my heart skipped a beat. I couldn't believe it at first. I stared at the ticket, sure my eyes were playing tricks on me. I had won $50,000. It didn't seem real. But there it was, clear as day. The numbers matched perfectly. I sat there for a moment, completely still. My mind raced. $50,000. I thought about how it could change things, paying off my student loans, taking a trip somewhere warm, or just having the kind of financial breathing room I'd always dreamed of. But then, something else hit me. My first thought wasn't about what I would do with the money. It was about telling Jenny. I couldn't wait to see her reaction. This could be the thing that would help us move forward, fix things between us. I stood up, grabbed my jacket, and ran out the door, telling my boss I had a family emergency. The truth was, I couldn't get to Jenny fast enough. I rushed home, a smile on my face, eager to tell her everything. I imagined her expression when I handed her the ticket and said, "We won." I pulled into the driveway, practically leaping out of the car. But the moment I walked through the door, everything changed. That's when I heard it. A sound that stopped me dead in my tracks. As soon as I stepped inside, I heard the unmistakable sound of voices. It wasn't just the TV or a radio playing in the background. It was laughter. High-pitched, soft laughter that sounded familiar, but not in the way I expected. I froze at the door. For a moment, I thought I might be imagining things. Maybe the sound was coming from the neighbor's house or from the TV in the living room. But no. It was clear it was coming from our bedroom. My heart began to race as I set the lottery ticket down on the kitchen counter. I had never felt more certain of anything in my life than I was at that moment. Something was wrong. I moved quietly down the hallway, each step slower than the last. The laughter grew louder. It sounded like Jenny, but there was someone else, too. Someone else I didn't recognize. Panic started to creep up on me, making my hands clammy and my throat dry. I reached the door to our bedroom and paused for a second. The voices were clearer now, and I could hear one of them speaking in a low voice. Jenny was saying something, but I couldn't make out the words. Then, without thinking, I pushed the door open. The scene I saw when I entered hit me like a punch to the gut. Jenny was sitting on the edge of our bed, her back to me. She was laughing, but not the kind of laugh I was used to. It wasn't the playful laugh she gave when we joked around or the quiet chuckle she'd make at something on TV. No, this was a deeper, more intimate kind of laughter. and beside her, sitting way too close, was another man. He wasn't anyone I recognized. He looked to be in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. Tall, with dark hair and a sharp jawline. His face lit up with a smile, his eyes locked on Jenny. And when I walked in, they both froze. Jenny's eyes widened in shock, and I saw her hands twitch as if she didn't know whether to stand up or stay seated. The man beside her shifted uncomfortably, but his expression quickly changed to one of disbelief. His eyes darted between me and Jenny, like he wasn't sure what was happening either. For a moment, no one said a word. The silence in the room felt like it could crush me. I stood there in the doorway, my heart pounding in my chest. All the joy I had felt about winning that money, all the excitement I had about sharing the news with Jenny, evaporated in an instant. Jenny finally broke the silence, her voice shaky. "John, what are you doing here?" Her words were like a slap to the face, as if I wasn't supposed to be there. I wanted to scream, to demand answers right then and there, but I couldn't. My throat was too tight, and I could feel the tears starting to sting the corners of my eyes. I looked at her, and then at him. The man who was sitting too close, the man who had no place in our home. My mind raced, but all I could do was stand there, numb. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. The anger, the betrayal, the confusion all hit me at once. My legs felt weak, and for a moment, I thought I might collapse. But I held my ground. The man finally stood up, his voice low but firm. "Look, man, it's not what you think." I wanted to yell at him, to tell him to get out, to tell him that Jenny and I were supposed to be in this together. But I couldn't bring myself to do it. Not yet. I turned to Jenny, my voice barely above a whisper. "What is this?" I asked. "Who is he?" Jenny looked at the floor, unable to meet my eyes. Her hands trembled, and I could see that she was trying to say something, but nothing came out. The man took a step back, sensing that he wasn't welcome. "I'll leave you two alone," he said, his voice still calm. He gave Jenny a quick glance, then walked past me, out the door. Jenny and I were left in the room alone, the tension so thick that it felt like it could suffocate us. I couldn't look at her. Not right now. I needed answers. But the words, the accusations I wanted to say, felt stuck in my chest. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out. The door clicked shut behind him, and we were left in silence. The room felt colder now, the silence suffocating. Jenny still couldn't look at me. Her eyes were fixed on the floor, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. I stood there, frozen, unable to make sense of anything. I wanted to shout, to demand answers. But my voice wouldn't come. The only sound in the room was the thumping of my own heart. After what felt like an eternity, I finally spoke, my voice rough and unsteady. "Who was he, Jenny? What the hell was going on here?" Jenny's hands twitched again, and I saw her take a deep breath, as if she were trying to gather the courage to speak. Her lips parted, but the words didn't come out right away. She opened her mouth again, then closed it. I felt a knot in my stomach. It was like she didn't know how to answer. Or worse, she was hiding something. "Jenny," I said, my voice more urgent now. "I need to know. I deserve to know." She winced, then finally lifted her eyes to meet mine. There was a mixture of guilt and fear in her gaze. She opened her mouth, but the words were slow, as if they weighed too much for her to say. "John, it's not like you think." I felt a surge of anger, a sharp sting of betrayal. "Not like I think?" I repeated, my voice rising. "What, you mean this isn't what it looks like? You're sitting on the bed with some guy I've never seen before, and it's not what it looks like?" Jenny winced at my words, and I could see her fighting to hold back tears. I don't know what to say. I didn't mean for it to happen like this." "Then how did it happen, Jenny?" I was almost yelling now, but I didn't care. My hands were shaking, my chest tight with emotion. "How did I come home to find you laughing with another man? Sitting so close to him? What the hell is going on?" Jenny stood up abruptly, her voice quiet but firm. "You don't understand, John. I didn't want this. I didn't want to hurt you." My mind was spinning, trying to make sense of her words. "Then explain it to me. Explain why he's here. Why you're hiding this from me." For the first time since I walked in, Jenny's expression shifted. Her lips pressed together, and her eyes flickered with something I hadn't seen before, uncertainty. It's complicated. I didn't know how to tell you." "Complicated?" I repeated. What's so complicated about it? You're here with some other man in our home, and you're telling me it's complicated? She stepped forward, her voice shaking. I didn't want you to find out like this. I swear, I never wanted to hurt you. But things have changed. Changed? I asked, the word tasting like ash in my mouth. What do you mean by changed, Jenny? You're in our bed with another man, and you're telling me things have changed? Jenny's eyes filled with tears. John, stop. Just stop. I cut her off, my voice cold now. I don't want to hear it. You made your choice. I've been here, working my ass off, and this is how you repay me. Jenny staggered back, her face pale as she wiped away a tear. It's not like that. Please don't say that. But the words, the hurt, the anger, were too much for me. Everything inside me snapped. All the things I had ignored, the little cracks in our relationship, the moments I had brushed off, came rushing to the surface. I had tried to make sense of the distance between us, tried to hold on to what we had, but now I realized I had been blind. I can't do this, I said, my voice tight. I can't pretend this isn't happening. I'm done. I turned toward the door, my heart hammering in my chest. Jenny called my name, but I didn't turn around. I couldn't look at her anymore. I didn't want to hear her explanations, her excuses. The damage was done. I slammed the door behind me as I left, the sound of it echoing in the empty hallway. Outside, the world felt wrong. The streets were too quiet, the sky too dark. I wanted to scream, but all I could do was stand there, breathing hard. I had just walked away from the woman I loved, the woman I thought I could trust. The woman who had betrayed me in the worst way. The anger still burned inside me, but it was joined by something else now, emptiness. A hollowness that spread through me, leaving me numb. I had no idea where I was going. I didn't care. The lottery ticket, the money I had worked for, it didn't matter anymore. Nothing mattered. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at the door I had just walked out of, but it felt like hours. The cold night air hit me hard, and the city felt like a different place now. There was no warmth in the streets, no comfort in the familiar sounds of passing cars and distant voices. Everything felt hollow, like the world had shifted and left me behind. I couldn't go back. Not now. Not after what I'd seen. Jenny's face kept flashing in my mind, her tears, her desperate attempts to explain. But all I could hear in my head was that one sentence, I didn't want to hurt you. It didn't matter anymore. The damage was done. The trust, the connection we had built over the years, gone. I couldn't pretend it was okay, couldn't ignore what I had walked in on. No explanation would be enough to erase that image from my mind. I kept walking, unsure of where I was going. My legs were moving, but my mind was still trapped back in that room, still replaying the fight over and over. I wanted to scream, to punch something, to do anything to release the pressure building inside me. But no matter how far I walked, no matter how fast I moved, I couldn't outrun the truth. The truth that Jenny had chosen someone else. The truth that I had been left behind. I found myself at a bar. The kind of place I used to go to with friends to forget about life for a while. But this time, I was alone. I ordered a drink, my hand shaking slightly as I took the glass. I hadn't realized how much I needed it until that moment. I needed something to numb the ache in my chest, to take the edge off the pain I couldn't shake. The bartender didn't ask questions. He just nodded as I sat down at the bar, staring at my reflection in the glass. I didn't recognize the person I saw. The man in the mirror looked lost, broken even. The man who thought he had it all figured out, who thought he could trust the woman he loved. I took a long drink, hoping it would help, but it didn't. It didn't fix anything. It didn't make the emptiness go away. In the end, I didn't get the answers I needed. Jenny didn't give me the closure I was looking for. And maybe that was the hardest part. I didn't get the chance to ask all the questions I needed answered. I didn't get to hear her side, her reasons. And I probably never would. It didn't matter now. There was no going back. I stayed at the bar longer than I should have, trying to drown out the thoughts in my head. But nothing worked. The silence, the cold truth, the feeling of betrayal, those things stayed with me long after I left. The next day, I started packing my things. It wasn't easy. It never is when you walk away from something you thought was forever. But I had to do it. I had to leave. I didn't look back as I walked out the door, but I could feel the weight of it. The weight of everything we had lost. As I drove away, I realized I didn't know what the future held. I didn't know where I was going or what would come next. But for the first time in a long time, I knew I had to figure it out on my own. No more hiding, no more pretending everything was fine. I had to rebuild. I had to find my own way again. And maybe, just maybe, one day I'd be able to trust again. But for now, all I could do was move forward. One step at a time. And if you found this story helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories like this. Thanks for watching, and take care.